the Rays of Hope this week, and we're glad that you have joined us. I am Lucy Wawero, and today we're excited because we're discussing a very important topic and a very unique one, and that is, if it's not grown, it is mined. We're really glad you're here with us, and please remember that you can stream live on YouTube and on Facebook. That is CAC TV Kenya. With me is a wonderful guest and an expert in this area that we are tackling today, and his name is Samson Mwangi. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, it's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And thank you for finding time to be with us. Now,
Thank you.
we started this topic and it really generated some interest on these hidden treasures. And I remember when we did a show on precious stones for precious people, it was like, we didn't know this.
Yes.
This is so unique. And so today we are saying, if it's not grown, it is mined. But first of all, who is Samson Mwangi?
Well, my name is Samson Mwangi. Born and raised in Kenya. I grew up, and by the time I was 17, went for further studies in the US. And after I graduated my BBA in finance, I went on to study my graduate gemology degree. So I come from a humble background, schooled over here, but I had aspirations of going overseas for further education.
Wow.
Yes.
And we'll hear more about this because it's a new area.
Yes.
We're trying to understand.
Yes.
And you know, this program is also about inspiring hope,
Yes.
courage,
Yes.
resilience.
Yes.
It's also about creating awareness and sensitizing people about opportunities that are available. And perhaps there's that young person there who is wondering, what can I do? I have an interest in this area, but they don't know how to go about it. So your story will inspire very many people. But then there's the verse we were talking about earlier,
Yes.
earlier on.
Yes, Isaiah chapter 45, verse 3, and I'll just read.
Yeah.
It's one of the verses that would take dear to my heart. It says, I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel, who summons you by name. So basically it talks about that God, when he was creating the earth, all over the earth, he had put special treasures, hidden treasures. And in this case, we're talking about be it gemstones, be it gold, be it silver. And his aim was to enlighten his people and have them come to that point whereby they will get enriched. Yeah. So this is something that I found dear, that treasures are not only in heaven, but they're also on earth as well.
For us precious people.
Exactly.
Again. And how does that connect with our topic for today? If it's not grown, it is mined.
Yes.
Please help us understand that.
Yes. So indeed, it's just two things can happen. It's either grown or it's mined. So it's either we grow our food or we grow, cotton, textiles and whatnot. But everything else comes from underneath the ground. So be it everything we use, other than our plants and what we use for timber and whatnot, be it our metals we use every day for industry, infrastructure, be it our adornments, everything that we petroleum for oil and whatnot, everything comes from the ground. But for me, I happen to study more so on the beautiful things, the gemstones, the precious metals. And also later on, I decided to find out more about industrial minerals. Yes.
And you see, that's why I find this to be very interesting, because someone somewhere might be thinking, you know, our place, our land, our area is not endowed with the things you're talking about. But again, from what we are saying, we learn that, you know, God created a balance in the world. Some places will grow things, while other places will have those treasures.
Yeah, because just think about it. Think about sub-Saharan Africa. Think about the desert in Sub-Sahara or Saudi Arabia. It's desolate, it's vast, it's empty, it's hot. But in Saudi Arabia, underneath, it's just full of oil. So it's an equal balance. Yeah. Think about Mali in West Africa, Senegal. There's a man called Mansa Musa. History states that he was probably the second or third richest people in history. And all he dealt with was gold. That whole place is full of gold, plutonium, and other things. In Kenya as well, we call them ASIL, arid and semi-arid lands, all the way from Garissa to Marsabit to Turkana. In our own country, we have oil, we have gold, and a myriad of other minerals. We have huge, vast deposits of iron ore, manganese. We have something called chromite. All of these are used in making steel. But another verse I like to read, and I remember that comes to mind, is Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. And I remember we're talking about it with you. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Yeah. So this is privileged knowledge, and it's my hope and prayer that we embrace it. Yeah, because it will set us at par with other world countries. We have enough. We don't have to do what I did, leave this country and go out. Whatever we have, because we have a lot of brain drain, but no people are coming back and expounding what can be done, be it the extraction of minerals or incorporating mining technology. Kenya has got what it takes to be self-reliant. And I believe I was having a conversation with some officials in the Ministry of Mines, and we have the opinion in excess of 20% of our GDP can be created just by mining. Just two things. If it's not grown, it's mined.
It's mined.
Yes.
So you worked on those two, then we would be good to go. But before we understand the area of gemology and what that takes, how did you know that there's such a course? What inspired you? Your journey? You could have become a doctor, a lawyer. I mean, how did you learn about it?
Incidentally, when I did go to the US, it was my desire to be a cardiothoracic surgeon.
Cardiothoracic? Hey.
Yes, heart surgery.
Surgeon, yeah.
Yeah, so I had all these dreams and aspirations, as it were. And when I was doing my biology courses and preparing for my MCAT, which is the medical college admission test, my parents would visit. And my mom has always had an interest in gemstones. She's had a company since the early 90s, and I've seen her go to Voi. She's taken us as little kids in the mid-80s to Tanzania with her on expeditions for buying gemstones and whatnot. So when I was in school, she would come with a few gemstones. And what used to happen is I would sell. I would look for buyers. So back in 96, 97, when I was in college, that is how it began. She never used to come empty-handed, and at least that would pay for school, it would pay for the trip, slowly like that. So by the time I was getting to graduate, they decided to come with more gemstones than normal. Normally they'd come with just a few pieces here and there. But that's when I decided to make a sale, and it hit me that it was to concentrate on selling gemstones from Kenya, something that my mom had already begun. If I became good at it, because I'd become good at it over the years, that it might actually be a good source of income. And that is how I became a second generation gemstone dealer. So once I graduated, I changed from doing medicine. I graduated with a degree in finance and economics. And immediately I graduated, I went to school. We had agreed that let me specialize now, because there are not many gemologists that I knew. And I was also sick and tired of having a gemstone. You go and sell it, and you go, that time was privy. I knew what the internet prices were, wholesale, but the prices they were offering me were so subpar, below market value. And I needed to educate myself. Yeah, so, I'm of the belief education is the best teacher.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's what happened. I ended up now going to GIA, Carlsbad, California, which is their main campus. GIA stands for the Gemological Institute of America. So that was 2002. I enrolled in the course at the beginning of the year, and towards the end, I graduated with a graduate gemologist and accredited jewelry professional degree. Yes.
wow, that's interesting. So gemology is a course, you take it at a graduate level.
Yeah. So for me,
Yeah.
I did it after my first degree.
Yeah.
But with the GIA, the way it lends itself is the coursework is graduate level because they start you off. But you have people who've not even necessarily done a first degree just to enroll. Yeah, because it's a specialist.
It's a specialist.
It's technical kind of field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the prerequisites, at least I know you don't have to have an undergrad or you take it as a master level. You can take it straight from high school. Yeah.
And do we have many gemologists? I was trying to look through the internet, Googling, and I don't see many people. Okay, the people who maybe claim to have some knowledge on that, they are in geology or other fields.
Yes.
So do we have many specialist gemologists?
Back in Kenya, geology is taught in university. But gemology, I have yet to come across gemology being offered as a course, let alone a specialized subset of geology as a degree.
Yeah.
So for me, I know of two people I work with, but I believe I'm one of the few indigenous Kenyans with a graduate gemologist qualification from Carlsbad. University, Carlsbad campus. But now I know there are online courses other people take. There's distant learning, which is used as a start. But now the difference is my gemology is a hands-on kind of course because you're dealing in minerals, gemstones. You need to understand magnification, the optical values of stones, refractive index, things like scintillation, dispersion. It gets technical. And that cannot be taught. Should I say the enhanced experience that comes with time is taught on the field. And it's not suited per se to an internet course. Yeah, and I think that is where there's a slight disconnect because like now for me, I'd had to adhere to that duration of study and also had to get tested in what they call a 20 stone. And you are expected to get 100% out of all the stones that you test. They ask you to identify. Yeah. So I know of people who have failed that exam. It's not easy.
It's not an easy exam.
You need teacher to teacher teaching, hands-on, and you need a lot of practice. So where we were taught, it was in a lab kind of setting. I had a microscope, and for when they would present me a stone, I had a sheet I had to fill in. First of all, I have to identify under magnification, is the stone natural or not? So if you've not been trained, like now for me, I have to be able to see 33 more colors than the average person. I have to ascertain hue, tone, saturation, the warmth of the colors, how cool are they? And this is just color alone. So by the time you're looking and magnifying the stone, you need to be able to see, is it a synthetic stone or versus a natural stone? And there's a big difference. Most people think synthetic is not the real thing. When it comes to gemstones, you could have a natural sapphire, you can have a synthetic sapphire. Synthetic just denotes that it was lab made, but all the optical qualities, the hardness of the stone, it will read sapphire. Same case for diamond. They make synthetic diamonds. Yeah. So if you put a diamond tester, it will read diamond, and that's how you get hit if you go on the field. Yeah, I can warn you, especially in this day and age in Kenya, people are bringing, scamming people for gold. They're scamming people for rough gemstones. So if you come as a novice with just a diamond tester, and you're given a piece of diamond, it will register it's diamond. But for me, it will be worth, I don't know, $1 a gram. Yeah, but if it was cut, polished, or the real thing, Has got the nice shape, octahedral form, and the clarity and the color and whatnot. It could go all the way from $10,000 a carat. Yeah, and a carat is 5 grams. So that actual stone, I'm saying a gram could be $1. For the real thing, it's with good shape and whatnot, could be $50,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now, please help us to understand the difference between geology, because that's what we know more, geology and gemology. What sets it apart?
Well, geology is a mineral science that comprises of the study of hard rocks, the way they are formed and what they morph into. So for case in point, we can talk about metamorphic rocks. I'm using it as an example. And you'll talk about the mineral occurrence of metamorphic rocks or sedimentary rocks and whatnot. But for me, in gemology, I go a bit further. I go and study not only the chemical structure, but also the optical properties of the stone. Because as a gem, you find tend to look like glass. It's more brilliant. Light can pass through it. What makes it a gemstone? The rarity and the beauty.
Oh, rarity
and the beauty.
And the beauty.
Yeah, if it was abundantly found, it would not be rare. Yeah, so I think geology is more general. As far as rocks are concerned. And if they do specialize, the others will specialize into petrochemical industry, which has to do with looking for oil. Others, hydrogeologists for water and whatnot. And those are an example of the fields that do more or less specialize and on a higher level. Yeah, but for me, gemology is a subset of the mineral science of geology, with specialization in gemstones. Yes.
So gemstones, what makes them gems? That's interesting.
Yes.
Rare.
Yes.
And beautiful.
Rare and beautiful.
And beautiful.
Yes.
That's what makes it a gem.
For me, also, as far as the gemstones are concerned, not only natural stones, we've also had to study the synthetic and the imitation. That way you're not deceived. So for me, if you bring me a stone, I'll not say any fake. No. I'll even tell you what exactly is that.
You can do that.
That's the whole idea. Wow. You bring it, identify it, I'll tell you whether it's synthetic or not, and what type of stone it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're also a certified jewel what? An AJP.
AJP stands for Accredited Jewelry Professional, which means I went on further to study anything to do with jewelry and business management of jewelry. So not only will I, from the source, get you the stone and then have it go through the whole process of cutting and polishing to be made beautiful into a nice, beautiful gemstone. The AGP process is further on. We see how we'll put it into a pendant or a bracelet or a ring and whatnot. So I try and get the whole finished product to you and the process of marketing it.
Wow.
So, if there are those people you find who like to adorn themselves, like members of parliament with the large chains and whatnot, I know it caters to them. There are people who, for example, it's your mother's birthday, and just as a matter of reference, what month was your mom born, or what month were you born?
March.
So, this is what we call birthstone. Every month has got its own birthstone. So, for January, we have garnet. For February, amethyst. For you, we have aquamarine and bloodstone chalcedony.
Ooh, I want to learn more about that.
Yes. So aquamarine.
Birthstone.
Aquamarine. We have it locally. It's found in Meru. It's a beautiful stone. It looks like the sea. It's greenish blue. Yes. And been to other places like Madagascar where they have really huge crystals, and Nigeria. But that is your birthstone for today. Yeah. And then for May we have emerald.
For April.
Yeah. For April, sorry, it's diamond.
April is diamond.
That's diamond.
We should.
No, but there's some diamonds that have a blue hue, just like aquamarine. Yeah, provided all of them are glittery.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're rare and they're beautiful.
And they're rare. They are also
And they're
found in the Bible, you know.
Yeah.
And like diamond has been sought after. I've been to Kinshasa. I've been to Kisangani, DRC. I've been to Tanzania, Shinyanga, Mwadui, in pursuit of diamonds. Yes, it's the king of gems, followed by you have sapphire, ruby, and emerald. But it's not the only store of wealth and beauty. Yeah, so you have April, diamond. Emerald is a very popular stone these days, which is the birthstone of May. And then June, we have three. We have moonstone, which is found also in Kenya and Tanzania. We have alexandrite, found in Tanzania. It's a very, very popular stone. Changes color. When you're out in the daylight, it's green. At night, under incandescent light, it turns red. Yeah, so that's for June. For July, we have ruby.
Rubies for July.
Rubies for July. And for August, we have sardonyx. Sardonyx is like the group of onyx. It's a translucent, opaque stone, but it's known for its shine, but it's orange in color. And then you have sapphires for September. October, the month of which I was born, it's opals and tourmaline. And then November, we have citrine and topaz. And then there's a stone that I've been dealing with for a long time. It's the birthstone for December. It's called tanzanite. Found in Tanzania. Yeah, so we have tanzanite, zircon, and turquoise for December.
For December.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that will be interesting for the viewer.
Yes.
To know their birth month.
Yes.
The birthstone. The birthstone.
Every month has got a birthstone.
That's interesting.
As you celebrate, don't just bring cake. Yeah, those stones are found here. Garnet, found in Kenya. Amethyst, found in Kenya. Aquamarine, found in Kenya. Diamond, to tell you the truth, I do not know why we don't have it. It has been one of my passions, trying to explore mineral exploration of diamond. Because think about it, Tanzania has it, Congo has it, Zimbabwe, huge amounts. Yeah, I hear there's some people telling me Somali has it. Why don't we put it upon ourselves to find out?
So somehow, you believe somehow.
I know they should be. It's just that we've not been keen. This is what we call indicator minerals. That normally, to find a diamond, you normally find this and this. So trace elements like Kimberley pipes and garnet further lead me to believe we should have diamonds. Yes. So diamonds we should have. Emeralds, they come from. I hear they should have deposits around Kajiado.
Kajiado.
Yes, and also in Ethiopia, I've personally been there to buy and sell emerald. Rubies we have, moonstone we have in Tanzania, alexandrite and pearls. Pearls is another one. Sorry, for June. Those ones are found in the sea. Yeah, but people artificially cultivate them. Yeah, so in Japan, they just take a small plastic round ball and they put it in a clam, a shell, which is, and then they just have that, it's called nacre, cover it. So pearls, we can have farms over here. Yeah, to grow cultured pearls is what we call them. July ruby we have here. Sapphires we have, from Samburu. I've been there. Mountains full of sapphire. Might not be gem quality, but it has a market. Turukana we have. A place called Gabatula. We have sapphires, gem quality. Yeah, tourmaline. I've done some good tourmaline business. It's a birth month for October. Opals we have in neighboring Ethiopia and a few deposits. So over here, we do have the deposits, but we still need to get the ones that are commercially viable. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think something that we need to do is the uptake of mineral exploration. That is something that we have negated, I think, not only as a local people, but our government. The lack of education is what now is hampering our growth as far as that.
That's why we need this knowledge.
Yeah.
We need to create this awareness of all these things, because last time in an earlier episode we learned that also, the tribes of Israel and all that. There's a lot that there are stones, that match the tribes and all that. We learned about the tablets. We learned about all these deposits. There's a lot of knowledge that we actually need to disseminate. We need to learn about this. You're also a certified rough diamond grader. Tell us about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in my quest to elevate my education, and I remember being in California, everybody was talking about diamonds back then. The precious stones were important, but diamond has got a reputation for holding its value. And I decided to, because I had so many people, because I was the only black person in my class.
You were the only
black, yes,
person.
Yes. So everybody else was either Caucasian. We had quite a number of Indians and Jews. And I came to find out some of the Indians and Jews in my class were fifth, sixth generation. They had been in the family business, going all the way from the 1500s. And in the history of diamonds, when we were studying, the Nur diamond, for example, you find when it was discovered 400, 500 years ago, because India was the first source of diamonds.
India was first.
Yeah. Yeah, so you find all the royals in India used to adorn themselves with these gemstones. That's why the uptake and the utilization of diamonds, gold, and other gemstones is very high in India. They use it for their practices and rituals, and also in their weddings.
For dowry.
For dowry. Yeah, your worth is right now. Gold is the biggest. The consumption of gold is largest in India, and you'll have your weddings go for 1 week, 2 weeks. Yeah, and so as a source of evaluation of wealth, gold is used as a merit. So when I was in class, seeing all this and being educated, all of them were telling me, "You come from Africa. Gold comes from Africa. Diamonds come from Africa." So I decided, let me be on the winning team. I already have the contacts and the people to work with, but now sourcing became the issue. Yeah, and since my mom had already begun what was in Kenya, came back then, but I don't think we were advanced as we are right now. As should I say, the goodwill or the initiative to look for diamonds. Right now we're in a better place. Yeah, so that is why I decided to put it upon myself to go for a rough diamond class. Because at GIA we are only taught cut and polished. Yes, the stones that we were taught to grade at GIA during the diamond courses were the ones that would eventually just go straight into jewelry. But we were not taught how does it look like when it comes from the ground. What should you look for, and whatnot. So I went to Deerfield Beach in Florida, and I attended the American Institute of Diamond Cutting. Yeah, and so it's about 40 minutes away from Fort Lauderdale. That's when I honed in the skills to grade diamonds. Yeah.
So hence the title, rough diamond grader.
Yes.
So how to
so that way
identify when
so
it's rough.
When it's rough, and from there, for me, I felt that would prepare me, because what if I'm in Africa and we don't know how to cut diamond? So if I come across rough, I'm able to know the gem quality would go, say, to India for cutting, Tel Aviv or New York, depending on how good the gemstone is in formation, clarity, color, and size. We call them the 4 C's. Yeah, so when you're looking at it,
clarity,
cut, and carat weight. Yes. So that is what makes a gemstone when it's cut and polished. There's a way how it comes out naturally from the ground, and then there's a way how you'd add value by cutting and polishing. So what happens when it comes out from the ground?
And actually, we want to hear more about that.
Yes.
Because we are in this class and it's getting interesting. And at the 4 C's, that's why we want to take a short break. We'll be right back. You don't want to miss this, because this is inspiring a lot of hope that we're actually sitting on deposits. And if you're not growing it, then you can mine it. Wow. Please don't go away. We'll be right back.
great people on earth today are the people who pray. Not those who talk about prayer or those who explain about prayer, but those who take time and pray.
God answers prayers. Why? Because He hears. His ear is not deaf, so He hears our prayers.
Men and women who go before God, we should be men and women of godly standards.
Sure.
So we abide,
Yeah.
so that we keep tapping from the source.
But as we pray, it is important to tell God that your will be done in this prayer that I'm praying, or about this prayer item that I'm praying about. Not as I will, yes, this is my will, but let your will be done.
In these changing times and seasons of uncertainty, whom do you look up to?
God keeps his part. Calm rain, calm sunshine. God is still committed.
From one generation to another, and it's not like shifting shadows that He will change, but
Join Reverend Elizabeth Kimani and Henry Kyra every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. live on CAC TV for Call Unto Me.
2021, He's still the same God and He has not changed.
Inasemekana mtafutaji hachoki.
Hakuna kazi rahisi, kazi zote ni ngumu.
Hakuna kitu mwanamume anafanya hapa sisi tunashindwa kufanya. Hakuna.
Akichoka kesha pata.
We only get limited in the mind. Exactly. Mimi nasema my space, my creation, I become.
Ungana nasi kwenye kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ambapo tunakuhimiza
Bado safari ipo. Tunang'ang'ana.
Kukuhamasisha
Jua kali tunatengeneza vitu ambazo zinapatikana katika kila nyumba. Hata nyumba kuu ya Kenya State House utapata mali ya jua kali ziko huko.
Na kukuelimisha kuhusu sekta mbalimbali zinazounda nguzo kuu za uchumi wa nchi kwa jumla.
Kama association tunawahimiza kabisa kila mtu awe na ile card ya insurance ambayo ni ya serikali.
Usikose Kazi na Mali kila siku ya Jumanne saa 1:30 jioni hapa CAC TV.
Welcome back. Now, this is getting exciting. We went on break at the point where we're talking about the 4 C's, the process, and we'll come back to that. Today, just in case you've just joined us, we're discussing the topic, if it's not grown, it is mind. I mean, that's mind-blowing, that God has given us all these good things. Some of us are growing them. Others have the opportunity to mine them. Well, we've exploited the area of growing. Okay, not so much though, but at least we're doing something in that field. But in terms of mining, there's a lot that needs to be done. And that is where hope lies. There's a lot of hope in that area of mining if we can't grow it. And our guest today is Samson Mwangi, an expert in this area who has actually given us a lot of knowledge here. Now, we've been talking about gemology and gemstones, and we said that for something to be a gem, it must be rare and beautiful.
Yes.
But then you also mentioned about industrial minerals.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Sure. So, gemology and gemstone mining and business is just a very small part of what we find under the ground, or what we mine.
It's a small part.
It's just a small, because even if you think as far as what we mine industrially, diamonds would fall under the group of carbons like graphite. Actually, what we say is diamond is just graphite that has been adhered to high temperature, high time, a long time, high temperature, pressure, and time. And that is what makes a diamond. Graphite is just carbon. Graphite is the one that we used to use in lead pencils and whatnot. And all of these industrial minerals are widespread in Kenya. They're found all over.
Of this.
Yes.
Your work
So,
for it.
for example, right now I've been privileged to be working with the Kenya Chamber of Mines, and in one of our dealings, I got to find, in conjunction with the the American Embassy, the endangered or critical list minerals that are highly sought after by the US. Out of the 17 I came across, 11 are found in Kenya.
11
Yes.
are found in Kenya.
Yes.
11 out of 17.
Yes, yes. And the only other ones that we did not want to talk about as far as that list was concerned were what we call the rare earths, because that is very highly sought after, and that is found in Murima Hills in Kwale County. And I know it was projected to have the value of at least a few trillion Kenya shillings.
A few trillions.
A few trillion.
And here we are struggling
Yes,
with
a few trillion.
debts and all that.
Yeah. So in light of how our budget, I think for last year was about 10 trillion. It's so easy for just one aspect of the industrial minerals, and I'm just referring to the rare earths, to contribute in excess of 20-30%. So it's a shame, I believe, and this is what got me interested in industrial minerals, because I had gone to Congo and I wanted to pursue diamonds. But in my travels, I realized there's got to be other ways to skin a cat. Because the problem with even my education is that experience the best teacher. You go to a foreign country, people are trying to scheme you. They're too timing and conniving, you know. So for me, ultimately, after a few years of traveling far and wide across Africa and whatnot in search of gemstones, it hit me, industrial minerals support economies. Like now you'd find in the Congo, not only gold and diamonds and what else, they have coltan. Coltan is used for our cell phones. It's used for capacitors. It's widely used in economics. And guess what? We have coltan here. I've seen it. I know where the different areas it comes from Meru to Isiolo to Moyale. Yeah. So another one that is used is Nubium, found in Kwale, it's found in Samburu. All these minerals that you go and tell yourself, you know what? I hear Congo has got this and this, or I hear Brazil has got this and this. I'm gonna go there, or Ethiopia. What I did? No, we don't have to go through the challenges that I went through. All of that is found in Kenya. And you know, for our SGR, for instance, we'd have many Chinese exporting hundreds of containers of iron, or only for it to be returned back and sold to us at a premium. We have huge deposits of iron. We have huge deposits of manganese and chromite. And all of these are used to create and make steel rails. That is here. And the truth is, we have yet to touch the surface as far as mineral exploration to widen these occurrences. Yeah. So me, I believe where there's smoke, there's fire. We just have to unearth. And we just need the goodwill of the people and the government, and we should be able to employ our people. There's enough food for all of us for decades and generations.
Yes.
Yes.
And that data is available, actually.
Yes.
On where what is found. What is found?
This is common knowledge, but the challenges are the databases are rarely updated by the ministry, because you should be able to go to the Ministry of Mines and tell them what is found in Kenya. We have interest in development. But that's why we need to harness those specialized skills in identification, because knowledge is key. Yeah, because for me, someone could throw a rock over here, and everybody will just say Unimawe, for example. But for me, I'm able to determine that is iron, and let me go ahead and look for an outcrop, the place where it emerges from the ground. Yeah, and then from there, able to decipher the quality and whatnot. You know, so here knowledge is key, and then from over there you can go on and exploit that mineral reserve and that deposit. Yeah, so we have what it takes for the infrastructure. Gypsum is something right now that is used so much in making houses, roofs and whatnot. We have huge deposits. You name it. Most of the key day-to-day minerals that we tend to use, we have them here.
Yeah, locally available.
Yes. Yes. And so I believe it's privileged information. I know there are many people who've held on to this information for years. You know, gold is rampantly available. I'm sure we export. The last time I checked with some ministry officials a few years back, we were doing about 6 tons.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I hear you keep referring to back in Africa, and it seems to me, it pains you that we are suffering, and yet we are endowed with all these things. God has put these hidden treasures for us. From the verse we read there, you could have been comfortable somewhere in California and elsewhere. So what is this push that makes you want to see a difference in our country and in our continent? And tie that up with your travels and what you've learned from all that.
Yeah, so they say experience is the best teacher. And having traveled wide and far and lived and interacted with different cultures, my experience is that there's no east or west, home is best. There's no place as home. And we need to develop our home country to be self-reliant, because we do not need to avert ourselves to money borrowing and whatnot. Yet everything we needed to uphold and uplift ourselves is here. We've got what it takes to build our infrastructure. And for me, it's a shame to see foreigners come, lie and exploit us, and then go and enrich the countries. For you to go out there and not only miss home, but you know, I've ever gone, which I have several times. For example, you go and find, you buy a shirt and the label says made in Kenya. You have a sense of pride. But now, majority of the minerals, so many times I'm having, phone calls from Indians who want to come invest, Chinese who want to come invest, or you have, so many multinational companies from Australia and elsewhere. Why don't we take the initiative to invest ourselves? Because Lord knows what they gain, and export. It's not expatriated back. And whether, who knows if the figures they're quoting for tax purposes are inflated or deflated. I'm just saying this at the very essence, the bare metal of it. We need to nurture people who would go on fact-finding missions, who incorporate mining technology and mineral exploration techniques for us to discover what we have. Because I believe there's, we still use maps that are archaic, that the colonial masters gave us in 1940. That's what people think, 844 teaches us GHC. We have dioxide, fluorspar, the atomite, soda ash, but nobody goes into the nitty-gritty that we have. I don't know, almost every country has got an iron ore occurrence. We just have to further check if it's viable economically. That we have manganese. And unbeknown to us, the Chinese and the Indians are exporting hundreds of containers. But yet us, the indigenous locals, none of us have been exposed to this truth. Sorry to say, things like the diamonds and the gemstones. It's the Lebanese, the Greeks, and the Jews in Kenya or in most of Africa that do this business. But rarely do they teach the locals. So for millennia, the Jews from time of Moses and before then were dealing in gemstones. And the people who, just by proximity, who got wind of that were the Arabs. The Arabs have been dealing in pearls, Arabian pearls. And I know I've met so many Arabs and Lebanese people of Lebanese descent in Congo doing diamonds. I've met them in Tanzania, in Shinyanga. So while the Jews will be cutting and polishing their diamonds in Tel Aviv, the Lebanese will be doing the same in Beirut. Go to Angola, What happened to Angola? I not want to see that happen to Kenya. Angola 15 years ago was a dynamic, very, very well-to-do country. It had the highest cost as far as comes way of life and living per capita in Africa. It was cost the average expatriate up to $2,000. There's some hotels up to $2,000. I remember. Even Kinshasa is very expensive, but it was full of Chinese who came, exported the oil, they built the roads, whatever they came across the road, they took back home. And right now, when you mention Chinese in Angola, they get upset. Because the country was run down. The oil industry, the price of oil came down, and the country just fell into shambles. And the last president left. Was disposed. So you find a country that is mineral rich, but it tends to benefit others. So in this country of ours, one thing I'm very happy about it is we have the infrastructure. Kenyans are very sharp and educated. We're well traveled, and it's not the time for us to be fooled. And I believe we began to awaken. Before, we did not have a Ministry of Mines. We have one that was created in 2013, and I think now is the time whereby the wheels of justice, though they turn slow,
they're turning. They're starting to turn.
Yes, they will grind all these loopholes. And you go like now. You go to Samburu, you go to Turkana. You see the way of life. These people are walking on gold. I've heard of stories in northern Kenya during the rainy season. You just go outside, everything is glittering because gold is being seen.
Everything is glittering.
Yes. Especially during the rainy season. In Turkana, alluvial sapphire. This time when it rains in April, short rains and the long rains, that's when they just pick up sapphires from the ground. High quality. Alluvial comes with the rain. So for us, we don't even mind, we just collect it.
Like collecting.
Yes.
What do we mind?
What do we mine? So there's what we call alluvial mining. It's the one that you find in riverbeds that has been moved by either wind or water. So a lot of diamonds are alluvial mined, or the sapphires you find in Turkana are alluvial mining. But there's what we call alluvial with the E, Luvial. That is the secondary deposit, whereby the hard rock itself, you find where the reef is. Yes, because like now I was able to identify a mountain or two full of sapphires. They might not have been gem, but there are other applications. So what happens if it's not glittering and it's not transparent? That same gemstone can be fashioned into what we call a cab or cabochon. So for example, you've seen how people have beaded necklaces. Might not necessarily be transparent like glass. But they're also beautiful. And it's still sapphire. And majority of them tend to be translucent. So when you put a torch underneath, it should see light on the other side. So the different qualities also to this as well.
They're all usable.
Yes. So for me, that was what I was trying to do. The name itself is strong. Diamond is a strong name. Sapphire is a strong name. Emerald. So all these qualities, depending on the market. So for me, for example, with the sapphires that are not gem quality but are near gem quality, I know those ones will go to India as a market or Thailand. The ones that are gem quality, I know Europe or the States. So everything can be used.
Everything can be used.
Yes.
And they are, you call it alluvial?
Yes.
Is that a sign of what lies under necessarily?
Now, this is what we did. Proper prospecting, because you could be in the valley and collect over there, but you still have to demarcate the actual source. So that's why you need to go for prospecting.
Because this one has been brought by the wind or the water. I get it. Could be deposited far away from.
Exactly. So just traditional prospecting methods, for example, like now would go and you look at anthill. An anthill. And then when you go and look at it, those are the natural prospectors. You will see traces like now in Taita Taveta, you'll see garnet, small red stones. So it gives you an idea of what lays underneath. So when we do prospecting, is we dig pits and trenches, sometimes, depending on the inclines of the mountains and whatnot, the few things you take into consideration, and then you're able to have a rough idea of what today's belief.
We'll hear more of this because
Yes.
we're not letting you go, because we need to learn
Yes.
from you.
Yes.
And what gives me hope in all this is that we have now your generation
Yes.
that is patriotic,
Yes.
that feels bad,
Yes.
that things are the way they are. What would call maybe not very official, but like some holy anger, at the poverty levels, and with the knowledge that you have, that we have deposits, that we should not just be growing, we should also be mining. And because of that, you are back home working hard to transform lives. For me, there lies hope. There is hope that we are headed in the right direction, and even for our government to have started this ministry of minds that was not there. I mean, 2013 is not so long ago.
Exactly.
So we are moving in the right direction, as we say, the wheels will move. Slowly, but
surely.
But surely. So I wanted to tell us maybe an experience as we go to the history of gemology.
Yes.
But in your travels, have you been conned? Maybe someone is asking, because you can tell. So how has this experience been for you?
Yes. So for me, it's an old adage that says, if you've not been burnt, you've not been in this business long enough. That is part and parcel of the education. And for me, I'd like to impart it whereby people don't have to go through what I've gone through.
We can learn from your experience.
Exactly. So initially, for me to go to gemological school, I'd come to assist my parents in their work, and I'd gone to Tanzania. And I bought the best looking piece of Sprite glass, thinking it was a green garnet, only to find it was not. So that is why education became paramount. Knowledge was key. And so I did not only get burnt then, but as I was trying to move from one business to the other, across everything I have mentioned, I've had some bad experiences. I've had some very bad experiences with gold. I got conned in DRC, Congo. And I had gone to buy diamonds, and I noticed in the parcel that I was looking at, they would mix. In those diamonds, they would put in what we call simulants. Simulants are imitation stones that would pass off for diamonds. So if you're not keen, you would fall victim to their trap. So, they would put in synthetic moissanite. It's another stone that looks like diamonds. It's got what we call a high refractive index. It shines. I've also been conned in Madagascar. Had gone looking for alexandrite. The stone that I mentioned is green by day and red by night. So during the day it looks like emerald green and ruby red by night. After I cut and polished it, and I bought it straight from the mines. I was so proud of myself because I could not think that it would be synthetic. But over there is where I found that whole area was full of Sri Lankans and people from Thailand who had gone to buy sapphires at that time. And those are the ones who are being dubious. So here, the problem with this industry, you have to experience. There's the knowledge you build on, but the experience as well. And that, unfortunately, includes losing money and being conned and all that. But that's how you get to learn.
The two are important. And that's why in an earlier episode, I keep referring to, so that it's good to go through the motions. We are a people who want shortcuts. We want fast deals, quick deals. We want to make a lot of money, and we have all these dreams. I think that's key, what you're saying. Experience and also education, and also our Christian values. So how has that impacted you, your values as a Christian? The way you deal.
For me,
Yeah, for you.
every good thing comes from God. And being conned sometimes was a good thing for me to mature up, for me to expand my experience as far as also product knowledge. Yeah, so right now, for me, for example, with diamonds, before I used to carry a diamond tester. And right now, if I see someone with a diamond tester, I know he's a novice. The goods have got to talk to me these days. So you become specialized. Yeah. Before I was insecure, uncertain of myself. Right now, as soon as I pick it and I just look at it, I'm able to decipher by just a loop, which is just magnification, what it is. So experience became the best teacher, though it was bad, but I was able to learn onto it. And also just to also appreciate later on that the Jews were called to go back home to the country. For me, I'll heed the same advice from my God and come back and develop my country. Because I do not want to, you're in a foreign land, you're toiling day in, day out. And for what? You have nothing to show for at the end of the day. You break your back. So if you can come home and meet like-minded people who are astute, we have what we need over here. We don't have to go back home and to different countries and lose ourselves. So it brought me closer in my walk with God. And some of the lessons have been painful. But in hindsight, I appreciate that it was not a stumbling block, but a stepping stone. I've become a better gemologist, and it opened my horizons. Here I went to school thinking that I would only be dealing in one gemstone, but now plethora of different minerals I could deal with have opened up that are locally available, from the industrial minerals to the precious metals as well. So I gained from all that experience.
Yeah, and from your story today, there's some few things I picked that are very critical, and especially for the young generation now.
Yes.
You actually helped your parents to educate you. Like you sold gemstones to, you worked hard as a young person to help, pay your school fees. And I think that's a value that sometimes we lose. And young people seem to have this kind of an sense of entitlement. That, please talk to young people about this.
Having passed through that stage myself,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I had illusions of grandeur, building castles in the air, But at least ever since I was 17, as I said when I left, I helped my mom. She was selling curios on the street in Atlanta.
No, I used to talk about Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
In the States. Yeah, so from a very young time, I've been with her as my mentor. And we have gone through these experiences together as the firstborn.
Yeah.
So with each and every episode in life, be it the time when we were selling curios, to gemstones, to being conned, or to being successful, we shared in those experiences together. So, and also because what you get taught in the classroom is not what you get taught, and so on. I got a better appreciation for my mom, who had her own methodology, but she was taught by the street. In a business sense. So I got to incorporate that and become a better judge on people and their character. Because there's so many people who preach wine but drink water, or vice versa. I don't know how it goes, but to that effect. And I learned by experience. They're both good and bad.
And that has impacted your work ethic.
Exactly.
You work hard.
Yes. And it doesn't come easy, because for many a time I remember living in Nairobi but working in Arusha, Tanzania, waking up at 4 o'clock, I'm at the border by 6 o'clock, by 7 o'clock I've arrived, 8 o'clock I'm in the office for the whole week and working until Saturday at night. So it doesn't come easy, and more so especially when you are working in other countries, you find yourself justified to work a bit harder than the locals because you stand to lose. You stand to lose. Yeah, but all I can say is, after all of that experience, I say no place is as good as home. We have a lot going for us, and I just want to encourage everybody over here. We don't have to all be farmers. No. Yeah. If it's not grown, it's mined. There are other alternatives of revenue generation. Yeah. Yes.
Wow, and I think because this will not end here, we will continue. This is to be continued, and we are very grateful for this opportunity to learn these great lessons. If it's not grown, it's mined. We don't have to just be on that one line when we are sitting on deposit, but most importantly is that God is there for us. God holds our hands like he held the hand of Samson in his education journey, and now he's more experienced. He's back home. Home is best, east or west. Yes. I mean, God is there for us, and God has good plans for us. Thank you very much for finding time to be with us on the Rays of Hope. I mean, that gives us a lot of hope. There is hope. Yes. There is hope. And there is hope because our hope is founded in God alone. He who has hidden these treasures for us, as we read from the book of Isaiah. So even in your life, doesn't matter the situation you're going through right now, please know that there is some deposit somewhere. God has put something in place for you and for your time of need. Keep hope alive. So until next time, take care and God bless you.
Inasemekana mtafutaji hachoki.
Hakuna kazi rahisi, kazi zote ni ngumu.
Hakuna kitu mwanamume anafanya hapa sisi tunashindwa kufanya. Hakuna.
Akichoka kesha pata.
We only get limited in the mind. Exactly. Mimi nasema my space, my creation, I become.
Ungana nasi kwenye kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ambapo tunakuhimiza.
Bado safari ipo. Tunang'ang'ana.
Kukuhamasisha.
Jua kali tunatengeneza vitu ambazo zinapatikana katika kila nyumba. Hata nyumba kuu ya Kenya State House utapata mali ya jua kali ziko huko.
Na kukuelimisha kuhusu sekta mbalimbali zinazounda nguzo kuu za uchumi wa nchi kwa jumla.
Kama association tunawahimiza kabisa kila mtu awe na ile card ya insurance ambayo ni ya serikali.
Usikose Kazi na Mali kila siku ya Jumanne saa 1:30 jioni hapa CAK TV.
Experience Christian television like never before.
What are we called to do to transform the world, to make it more Christ-like, and ultimately to Christianize?
We are Christian professionals placed by God in our different spheres.
CAK TV brings you news.
Ulimwengu unabadilika kwa kasi na kila dakika ya siku kuna jambo unalopaswa kujua.
Economic.
Ni mmoja tu wa wanabiashara ambao tumezungumza nao mtazamaji.
Health.
The egg from Kienyeji chicken is very good and people know that.
Be rest assured that health is wealth.
Faith, as well as national issues programs to nourish your heart, mind and soul.
We can bring the change that we desire in our country.
We look into political and governance matters and current affairs matters with a third eye.
We are called to multiply disciples. So there has to be disciple makers, and there has to be people that are willing to be those disciples.
CAK TV brings it all to you.
God bless you.
Because a new page of history gets written every day. Because breaking news can't wait. Information everywhere. In all situations. On every subject. Understanding the world. Imagining the world. France 24. a different take on the news.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.
Been made possible by the friends and partners of Joyce Meyer Ministries.
Push and give birth to the things that God wants us to give birth to. The things that are going to glorify Him and that are going to actually make a difference in this world. Let me tell you something. I refuse to pass through here and be useless. Faith takes step one before it ever knows what step two is. If you're waiting to have a full blueprint for your life and know everything that's going to happen, then you're on the wrong plan, because that's not the way God works. He gives it to you one little step at a time. Maybe that's just like an amen from heaven. I don't know. You must take a chance on being wrong to find out if you're right. If you're not willing to be wrong, then you're never going to go forward with God, because you just got to step out in that blind faith, believing that God put something in your heart, and there's always that fear, well, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? But hopefully we establish that it's not the end of the world. Just because you make a wrong decision doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that you're kind of working your way through trying to find out what God wants you to do. And I think God appreciates that kind of boldness. Anybody who thinks they can always do what they've always done is a fool. Because there's always things changing in our lives. Our goal should be to be led and guided by the Holy Spirit. That should be every believer's number one goal, to be led and guided by the Holy Spirit, to be a God pleaser, not a people pleaser. Amen. And the Spirit-led life is a very adventurous life. Now, God gives all of us gifts. Every one of us has some kind of gift, talent that God has given us. We're not all like each other, and we have to be very, very careful that we don't let the little green monster of jealousy get in our way and start causing us to want what somebody else has. Because I can tell you, if you want what somebody else has long enough and strong enough, you're going to end up resenting them. And God wants us to love one another. Matthew chapter 25. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. I'm starting in verse 14. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Do you see that? He gives us according to our ability, which he also gives us. So he gives us our ability, then he gives us gifts according to our ability. And you know why he gives us gifts according to our ability and not beyond our ability? Because he doesn't want us to be all stressed out. Come on. And there's so much stress in the world today. And a lot of it is the competition and the comparison and people trying to find out who they are, and they think their worth and value comes from what they do. And to be honest, who you are in Christ has nothing to do with what you do.